Supposed to be another hot one today. I always worry about the pigs when it's hot because they are probably the most sensitive to it, but they're also probably the easiest to help out when it's hot because you give them a little bit of mud, they go right to it. I'll let the water run for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes and then shut it off because they love to lay in water, they love to lay in mud, but they don't like doing that when a sprinkler is raining down on top of them. So you want to just get it wet enough to last through the afternoon and then we'll shut it down. Gopher trap's been set overnight, so let's dig it up, see if we got anything. Nothing over here. Trap's still set. Still set. Shoot, I thought we had one there. We're gonna try setting the trap here again, because I just really think he's here somewhere. I do have another gopher trap set to check, but this video is not about trapping gophers. My plan today is to keep moving forward with the corral project. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. There. Whether you're hooking up to go 1 mile or 1,000, it's the same amount of work. I decided to prefab the gate hoop at home because I didn't want to be welding that close to the barn. And I got to thinking, if I'm going to do that, I may as well prefab the man gate frame as well. So that's why we're here with the trailer. I've got to get a few lengths of pipe so that we can make these pieces, and then we'll have to haul them back here and put them in the ground. What do I need here? 10 footers. Alright, that should be it. That'll give me 4 10-foot pipes out of the 2 and 7 and 1 10-foot pipe out of the 2 and 3. The 2 and 7 pipes are the vertical, the posts, and then the 2 and 3 is going to be the cross brace on the gate frame. And then for the man gate, I've got a short piece of 2 and 3 at home that I'm going to use. I'm not going to cut one of these big pieces and mess it up when I've already got a little scrap piece that I can use. Whew. Thanks for keeping the air conditioner cold for me. I think the smart way to do this is to go get the porta band and a generator and cut these to length off of the trailer so they're a little bit smaller and easier for me to handle. Then I can run them in the shop, clean them up, notch them, get everything welded. Getting them back on the trailer is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I've been thinking about how to deal with that. The man gate frame shouldn't be bad. It'll be heavy, yes, but it'll be small enough that I think I'll be able to wrestle it back on here, or if nothing else, I can go get the tractor and the 3-point arm and carry it over here. But the gate frame is going to be another story because it's going to be heavy, but it's also going to be big and kind of difficult to manage, especially by myself. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking the pieces in the shop to get everything notched, get the rust off of the pipe, and then bringing it back out here and laying it out on the trailer, kind of using the trailer like a big welding table and welding that cross piece on while it's sitting on the trailer. That way, I just have to drive on down to the ranch, pick it up with the tractor and set it into place. I don't have to wrestle with trying to get it out of the shop by myself. I think that's the smart way to do it, but the only issue is welding outside here. Everything is so dry. I can put a sprinkler out here, which is what I'll do, but today it is a little bit breezy, so I'm not sure that I'm going to try to weld the gate frame today, but I don't see why I can't get the man gate done. So let's go grab the porta band and maybe even some gloves that don't have holes in them. Okay, got that. The tricky part about this is going to be setting it up on stands and welding it and keeping the legs in the same plane so that when we put them in the ground, they're in line with each other and not cockeyed. But I think, you know, if I mess around with it long enough, I'll figure it out. Well, I guess the way I'm gonna have to do this is just in stages. So welding the cross piece to one of the verticals, there's not really a lot of thinking here. We just need this at a perfect 90, and we don't have to really worry about how it's clocked or anything like that. As long as it's a perfect 90 off of this post, that's all I care about right now. Well, there you go. 2 weld joints, and it took most of the afternoon to get this done. By the time we got everything moved over here, got everything notched, and just with this being so kind of big, heavy, cumbersome, it just takes a while. So now we need to get this back on the trailer. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna lift this, but first, there is one more thing that I would still like to do to this before we cement it into the ground. How turning is gonna go. I was working really well until I figured out The one big problem with doing it this way, if you hit even the slightest hole, that hand truck just stands up and the gate frame falls off. So I'm actually, you wouldn't even know by looking at it, but I'm in a hole there. The hand truck will not stay down. But the good news is I'm almost to the trailer, so I think I can just pick this up by the crossbar, swing it around, and drag it the rest of the way. And what were you gonna do to help? Anything? Cheerleader, got it. With the man gate frame done, now I got to do the big gate frame, and it's basically the same thing, just sort of on a larger scale. So I'm not going to film notching this tube. You guys saw me do that already. But once I get it done, we'll pick it back up then. It's the next day now, and I think it's just a little bit too breezy to try to weld that gate brace up outside. I'd be nervous about it all day. So I think instead of doing that, what I'll focus on today is getting the man gate brace concreted into the ground. And when you're dealing with weather, sometimes you can't do what you plan on doing, but as long as you're doing something, I think you're all right. Got my concrete, I've got the brace, I've got a nozzle for the hose, I've got my level, I've got my generator to power the cement mixer, extension cord. I think the last thing that I need is my 3-point lifting arm that I will use to kind of suspend that gate frame or dangle it over the holes and get everything squared up before I start pouring concrete in there. So it's sitting on the ground right here. It's a lot easier to hook it up to the tractor, but the tractor's not here, so we're gonna lift it by hand. That should be everything I need except for the stuff I forgot. Callie, you getting down? Oh, I hope you're sitting down because you're about to be shocked. I think I forgot something. I need a tape measure. I might have one in the toolbox on my truck. I'm not for sure, but I can get by without one. It would just be better if I did have one. Because I still have another hole to drill before we can put the man gate frame in. I was waiting to do that until I built the frame so that I could measure and make sure I got my holes in the right spot. But now that it's built, we can measure and get it in the right spot. Question is, do we have a tape measure in here? It's possible. Oh, looky there. Got it. Should be on center 46 apart if everything stayed straight. And they are close to that. Yeah, they're about that. That's good. We had minimal warpage when I welded that. Sometimes, especially on lighter wall tube, when you weld a joint like that, the heat kind of pulls the leg in a little bit and you can have to like manually spread those apart to get everything straight, but that didn't happen this time. Well, I'll tell you what, another thing I wish I would have brought is a guide string. Getting the first 3 in line was fairly easy, but the more holes you add, the harder it gets. So what I'm doing is putting my shovel here in my divot to kind of act as a stand-in post. And then I'll lean this post up. Well, you know what? Let's just put it right in the middle of the hole. Another stand-in post. And the object here is to get all these posts to line up with this existing square post, because this is where the pipe for this fence is gonna start. So let's see how we did. Well, I don't know if you can see the post back there on the barn, but I'd say we look pretty good. Well, wouldn't you know, the last hole has got to be the tough one. And it seems like usually if I just keep pounding that auger on the hole and and digging, eventually it'll break through that and dig. So we're just gonna keep at it. Well, that's some hard ground, but you can tell once that motor starts bogging down a little bit, it's biting. You just got to keep banging on it like that, and you know, it usually goes. Well, there's actually one more hole I need to dig, and then I should be done with the digger. So I'm gonna dig it now because I got to take this off to put the 3-point lifting arm on the tractor. And that is, I was gonna dig a little hole right here for the gate brace, so it has something to strengthen it up a little bit. So let's do that, and then we'll be done with this thing. Good. That arm's got some lift. It can get pretty high, but I don't know if it can get high enough to lift this off the trailer completely. So we might have to kind of drag it and get the legs past the end of the trailer so that when it picks it up, the legs just fall down to the ground, and then it should pick it up no problem. Well, we're not quite high enough. I don't know, if I took the rest of the slack out of that strap, it probably would get this off the ground, but that's kind of difficult to do. So I think I've got another idea, and we're gonna try that first. It'll ride like that, but when we get over to the holes, there's a wire going overhead that might kind of be in the way. So we'll let's get it moved over there, and then I might have to wrestle it a little bit so that we don't go under the wire. But this is gonna work. It's just not gonna be as easy as I was thinking it was. I don't know if I'm making progress or making it worse. I think if I just pull forward a little bit, we should fall into the hole, right? I'm getting very close to plumb and square and level and all the things that you want to be. But the more I look at it, I think my legs are pinching together at the bottom, meaning the gap between the poles at the bottom is narrower than it is up at the top where the brace is welded. So I'm gonna measure this to confirm. And if that's the case, what I'll do is cut a piece of scrap wood that's the right width, and I'll just kind of wedge it in between the legs here at the bottom to push them apart. And then I think I'm close enough here that I can start putting concrete in the holes and then get everything trued up and just kind of keep on chugging. I know the spacing at the top should be 43 inches because that's what I cut that brace at. So let's measure these bottom legs, see where we're at. Yeah, we're like 42 1/4, so 3/4 of an inch off is not much, but it's enough to be noticeable. It's 43. I made an executive decision, and I'm not gonna pull out the cement mixer. I'm just gonna mix it in the hole. Well, there you have it. The first piece of this project is now permanently in the ground, and I think it came out pretty good. And I was thinking about it, you know, I'm glad that I did the little gateway first because it will be the easier of the two. And I feel like I learned a lot about what it's going to take to get this bigger one in place, and I just kind of have a better idea of what I'm in for. And even though the gate arch is going to be a lot bigger and one would think more difficult to handle, the thing that will be easier about it is that the wire coming off of the barn there is not going to be a factor because it's far enough back that we don't have to worry about it. So I'm thinking what I'll be able to do is just back straight over these holes, and when the legs from the archway fall in the holes, then I can just kind of pull forward, stand that thing up in the holes, and we should be good to go. But we don't have time to do that in this video. That's gonna have to wait for the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.